Hey, this is Bernie here with Connections Consulting. How are you doing tonight? Just standing out by the edge of a crop here in the Rockyford area east of Strathmore in the greater Calgary, Alberta area, and it's very beautiful. This is the CCI Connections 2020 crop tour, and we're just out having a look as we usually do every fall at the harvest, see what's going on. And I used to be more with agriculture as I grew up working in it until I branched out into my own business consulting and group of companies business element here with the humanitarian section and the business side. And so just out for our own enjoyment looking at the crop, but it is a bit of an adventure. We'd like to invite you as you come on one of our Gold Thrust programs, as you become a clientele that's joining us, and with the annual every other year event here in Canada, the Great Canadian Kayak Tour, ending with the Purpose Course, and then we have some visits to farm and malt plant over at Kyle and the boys there and the ladies, and we go and see some large grain terminal elevators and all that. I told you about that in an earlier video on who is CCI, Bernie May and all that. But, come join us on this, because the crop tour element is very exciting, and you'll see when you stand beside the edge of a crop, it actually feels alive. Well, because it is, but it feels like it has a life of its own. It's a living, breathing organism entity in each section of land. Even though the plants are all different and individual, they're sort of joined together just by side by side where they're situated. And this year is a very generous, abundant looking crop. I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing. It's amazing how close the plant stand is together side by side, very thick. And I'm just hoping for farmers that they'll have a bountiful harvest as they get it off, and just more crop than usual. It looks like it's well above average, so very pleased to see that. The world needs the food, right? So the more we can grow in a year, the better, and all that. So it is an adventure. It's just like you go on a whale watching trip, or you go out to see the grizzly bears or the polar bears up in Churchill, even though you're in a cage, and that kind of stuff. This is an adventure. Come and be part of our Gold Thrust program and join us and stand by the edge of a living, breathing crop and see that element of life. And this is part of what's really putting that oxygen back into the atmosphere I was talking about earlier. So farmers fix their crops with nitrogen, healing the land, I suppose. That's an element of what I've heard in various places in the world, but crop health. And, Rob Syke and the boys in my former Agritrend days, they'd tell you about this, and they sold off Agritrend to that other Trimble company, but a lot of those guys still link together in some of the other ventures, AgVisor Pro and whatnot, and Farm Peer Group and stuff, and they talk and give advice still, and it's anyhow, you can look Rob up on that and his crew, but we're talking to you today on the adventure side of CCI, and this is important because in healing the crop and the land, and everybody's concerned about saving the earth and doing well with resources, right? No matter where you are, and a lot of people are. So what they do is they fixate nitrogen to the plant. It's become more popular in recent years, especially in Canada. I know in the States it was happening maybe earlier, but in the last probably decade and a half or more, farmers take rich natural spring water from an artesian well locally, and they haul it to the edge of their field, and they spray water with nutrients right on the crop so it can get extra health in the growth stage nearing the harvest time, as it's still growing and filling its abundant flush, producing head of the crop. And it's much like my KYANI product. When you're fixating calcium and magnesium and different nutrients your body needs for optimum growth and function and support in brain function and cardiovascular health and so forth. Farmers do this with their crop. Sometimes you don't hear about these things, in the media. A lot of my urban friends I have, sometimes people, often in life, why is it we get dwelling on negatives? Well, this is a positive story, and those nutrients are part of resources in the earth somewhere else, harvested and mined out of the earth and brought into the crop stage. So replaced and put back into the earth and the plants, I suppose, through another element of farming. And, I promote using up the resources, as you know, and it's not a negative. Even though there's side effects, we have to do the best we can in whatever regard. There'll always be some element of pollution or something as we produce, but that's life. So if we can support function where we get that down and minimize it so the crop growth in the food system can dwell higher. These crops are shorter nowadays because through science and gene cross, like the breeding of plants through the years, there's varieties that have a shorter straw base. The reason for that is in the older days it used to grow longer and taller in the abundant years. Then if a snow came prematurely or even heavy rains or wind, it would crash the crop down. So scientists worked on blending varieties and coming up with new genes to grow shorter straw stand, but the head producing part where the seed and the kernels that you hold in your hand that turns into your bread, wheat, or your barley beer or soup or whatever have you, that is still big. And I guess the downside would be the cattle farmers have to compete more readily to find straw bed sources and probably hay. There's probably more demand on hay and stuff, but that's a whole other element. But yeah, come stand by a live crop. It's exciting just to see it grow and wave in the wind. It's actually like being near the ocean and seeing the ripples of the water and the wave. And we're hoping the crop comes off good. I kind of think it looks like a good sound. They used to call them Indian summers. I don't know what they call them nowadays. I think it's still called that when you get a long, warm, summery fall right out to the end of October. And so we're hoping for that. It's a good day on the farm when you get a day like this, nice and hot, and a cloud in the sky that looks like any rain at all. So don't mind the odd night rain to cool things down and settle the dust, but not too heavy, and that's good. And join us in prayer at the Elevator Prayer Group for just a good harvest in Northwest America here, especially on the northwest side of North America, Kansas, and the Canadian Western Prairies. This is the breadbasket of the world. A lot of the grain produced around the world food system comes from here. Big exporting stuff agency and whatnot. So there's that. And on the business side, I'm going to tell you a bit about CCI, but first, this time of year there's accident prone, right? If you're living on an acreage and you're not thinking about farming necessarily because you're driving home from your city office building in northeast Calgary or downtown, it doesn't matter what race you are or ethnic or whatever. I'm just reminding you, people that were raised in a city or a foreign country forget about these things sometimes. I was raised on the prairie, very proud to be a fifth generation Canadian, as you know. And I don't care whether you wear a turban or a ball cap or your sunglasses on your head like me. You're all alike in my mind, just good people and trying to dwell and make a living. But be careful when you're coming down these gravel roads home to your acreage, because the combines and swathers are out moving around from field to field, and they got their big front end booms or wings spread open, and often they'll have a pilot vehicle or a guy ahead on a CB radio making sure the road over the hill is clear, and so that anybody just traveling through doesn't have to worry. But it's good to slow down in case something went wrong or whatever, and you come over the hill and your life matters. You don't want to find your vehicle cracked right into the front end of a big, because they'll pull over as they can, or they'll even wave you down if they have to in some of the tight spots. So anyhow, just be careful this time of year. And it's a good message. On the business side, CCI, our group of companies, is that's what we've been working on this summer, and that's why I'm less focused on agriculture. I'm more divested into all of the business sectors and industries and government and humanitarian organizations, church sector, I suppose, all of that with my focus. But agriculture is still a very big part of it. So, I'm not as on top of the details as always as I'd like to be, because I love it. This industry supports the food system everywhere, and it's a important cause. But, what we do in our business consulting side, we have 5 specific functions, and that's business consulting and training, number 1. And we have 3 courses in that. We have our management course, which is a sales business building, sales management course. We have our leadership apropos advanced and basic called Staff 1 and Staff 2. And then we also have our customer service training called Customer Deals and Follow Through. Then we have our business process improvement on the project side, where we help companies organize their processes, revamp things and all that. I was telling you a bit about that in the thumbnail of that last video called, Save the Planet. And you can see underneath that little arrow on the right-hand side. And I just want to say hi to my friends back in the neighborhood. If you don't get out of, the neighborhood much, this is beautiful. You just got to go for a Sunday drive sometime and just be careful and slow. But it's just nice to get out in nature, even in your local yard and area. So, the living, breathing planet, right? And don't wear your mask. Just get out and breathe, And anyways, it's just good. And, the downside of COVID, when things are negative, there's always a positive. One of the positives is I've probably met 5 more friends right on my block where I live in my condo apartment section that I didn't even know, and I've lived there 7 years. I knew a little bit, some of them, like Elizabeth, for example, and whoever. But I've met new people. Wanda, I suppose, she's an important friend and whatever. Anyway, I won't get into the whole list, but it's good. And so if you can find something positive, and that's it. And so then on our other project, of course, is the Go Market project, where we go out and we help you build your market cause and get your customers and glean them through to you and with you for all of that, what you're doing, and help support your business in that cause, whatever we define. It doesn't matter what industry you work in. You can train us technically if you've got an engineer or a technical support person. We have a system of going out and getting the business with our FABs, features and benefits. And you just got to know, just put us through a quick 2-day thing where we get up on a brief understanding, and then we have a way to pull people through, get them interested, get them liking what you do, get them wondering about it, asking questions, and then we'll pull you in for the loop to help close the business deal or situation. So we're problem solvers. That's what we do at CCI. So that's our 5 main kind of vestures, and then our 3 other part of our mandate, our ancillary services of our 8 main, thing we do here is we have our logoing. So we help you design a logo and a theme, your slogan, your motto, your saying, your mission statement, all that, who you are, what you do, and we were just over at Mike's Bar and Grill not long ago, and he's got his kind of coming together there. Morning, noon, and night is his new feature. I like that, but we won't talk about that too much. We're talking about us right now. And so then we also have our web where we help you design your web communications, so people pull what they're going to pull down in the drop downs and everything. It's kind of not how you think necessarily, it's how they think, your potential clientele, as they're searching out needs on your website, right? So we help you design it that way. And then our last thing is got the mission, we got the webcom, and oh yeah, our business plan, of course. How could I forget that? I have a 30-page whopper that's it's an inch thick almost, designed for 30 years. I'm in the beginning of year 4, and I just started dealing with my clientele in last year we had 4 months of book business and in CRM and our Go project side. And, in the first 2 years was a lot of launch and design, the inner elements from 2017 and 18. So now we've been streaming forward, working on our training and our different elements of classroom and online, getting the customers in. And COVID, kind of wrecked our plans, I guess, for the summer for our adventure side. But oh well, you know what? Next year country. That's a farmer saying, next year country. You got to have faith and keep believing for the best for the future. So that's all that. We're still plugging ahead here, looking at getting our classrooms full for October and December in Hawaii, Toronto, and Vancouver. But we'll go with you on that, and come on out. We join you together. We are friends with people who join us, and that's life, and that's why we welcome you to use our KYANI products on the whole health side and everything else. So your whole vesture, your whole total life and being is just good, and a good presence with you and who you are and how you represent yourself going forward in everything you do. So this is Connections Consulting signing off out in the farmland here in the food system of agriculture, and we love it. We enjoy what we do, and we're just living life to the fullest and trying hard to get it all happening the way we're supposed to, and doing the plans that we made and carrying them out. And there's the odd little one that changes here and there, so that's good when a new opportunity pops up, and we'll probably talk more about that in the fall as we enlighten you on some of the things that have come to pass. It's been a good summer. Collections are committed to for coming in, and so we're looking at that as we close out August, and we've got that new market capital thing that the guys should be back on holidays here by end August, mid-September on that. And then we've got the new Hitachi business, I suppose, coming on the book, where we're getting the 10% down, and looking forward on that. Some of the first initial steps for the training room for their salespeople. So it's good vesture with me, and I'm looking forward to positive things in life. And hopefully Ruby and Winston can come up soon and visit me for our annual Father's Day trip, which normally happens in June. But maybe the borders will be looking at, when phase 3 of the economy opens, something to do with wait times. If there's, I got a buddy working on an instant test actually in another industry, and I can tell you about that another time. But these instant tests will just be more important as time go on, so you can know instantly the accuracy of whether you're COVID free. And then the border restrictions don't need to be open. 14 days of isolation is kind of a joke. I mean, the mother of my children would have to take 4.5 weeks holidays to have a 3-day vacation with me, my kids. So if they're doing that on the way back to the States, and I imagine they are. So anyhow, these instant test things will be very important. And hopefully maybe there'll be a Thanksgiving weekend coming up here. We'll see each other. I don't know what the plan is. Only the Lord above knows. But making the best of it and working ahead here into the future, and looking forward to a positive fall with good things happening on the book of business as we scaled our summer. And boy, I needed a break. I don't know about you, but I was nearing burnout at the end of June, and getting my company restructured into 14-fold into the group, and we're there now, and kind of scaled down the speed. Didn't go anywhere. This summer took about maybe a day and a half off, but kind of worked some lighter days, some 6-hour days and stuff, and so that's good. Signing off from there. Oh man, have a good night.